Greetings, Fantastic Fours. Lovely to have you with me again. I think we have time to go into a lesson on time, that horrible topic that so many people struggle with. Hopefully not for long. The usual reminders at the start of a lesson. I'm Mr. T. You can email me. The email address is grade4@worksheetcloud.com. After the lesson, click on the link above, do the worksheet, make sure that you've got the aspect of time that we're going to look at today. Also, as per normal, at the start of our lesson, we've got mental arithmetic first. 10 problems, 40 seconds. That's 4 seconds per problem. That was mental arithmetic as well. Do them. Remember that accuracy is more important than the speed. It's better to get one right, to do 5 and get 5 right than to do 10 and get 4 right. Your 40 seconds start now. Time is halfway. And time is up, and that little man has packed his bags, and so has your time. It's up. 9 minus 2 is 7. 14 minus 9 is 5. 15 minus 12 is 3. 12 minus 10 is 2. 9 minus 9 is 0. 13 minus 3 is 10. 8 minus 3 is 5. 15 minus 6 is 9. 6 minus 4 is 2. 12 minus 5 is 7. Missed any? Rewind, watch it again, mark it. Just remember, as always, it's about improving. So if you're getting more than you were in the previous ones, then that's good. If you're getting less, it means there's something to work on. And if you were always getting 10 out of 10, then it now becomes about getting 10 out of 10 in a less time. So if you could previously get 10 out of 10 in 40 seconds, then you should aim to get 10 out of 10 in 35 seconds, because then it's about speed. Once you've managed to get your accuracy, you can work on your speed. So today, time 2. We're looking at taking digital time and making it into analog time. Analog is the one on the watch. This is a fairly straightforward process. Once you get into the hang of it, it should be quite easy. It's the next lesson that's quite difficult, and that's where we talk about how we say time. And that's when we talk about, is it 35 minutes past 12, or is it 25 minutes to 1? Or is it 15 minutes past 1, or is it quarter past 1? Is it 6:30, or is it 6:30? Or is it half an hour to 7? Because in Afrikaans, 6:30 is 6:30, because you're halfway to the next hour. Oh, confusion. But today's one should be simple in preparation for the more difficult lesson tomorrow. Our goals are pretty straightforward, so be able to transfer time from digital to analog time. Homework recap. So now we just need to go and have a look at what we were doing. It's a good way to lead into today's lesson. So yesterday we were going from, in the previous lesson we were going from analog to digital, and we will recap that now before we go on to going the other way around. Okay, here we go. Here's the homework from yesterday. Not yesterday, last lesson. I don't know when you guys do each of your lessons. Anyway, in the previous lesson, time 1, which happened before now, some time ago, we were having a look at this, and we needed to turn the analog time, into digital time. And so here's what we did. First of all, I'm going to look at the hour hand. The hour it's after 1, but it hasn't reached 2, so it's 1 something. The minute hand is pointing at 6, but when we were counting with the minutes, we counted on the outside, so 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30. So the time then is 1:30. We know that it's morning, so we're going to say AM. Doesn't really matter what color it is. I was going to do it in yellow, but it doesn't matter. So that's 1:30 AM. Looking at the second question, we've got it in the afternoon. Again, I'm looking at the hour hand first. It's after 3, but it hasn't reached 4. Minute hand is all the way over here, so it's 5:10. Here we go. Afternoon means it's PM. Oh, that didn't work. There we go. Okay, we're after 5, but not at 6. Oh, whoopsie, sorry. So it's 5 something. And the hour hand is at 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45. So 5:45, it's in the afternoon, which makes it PM. Number 4. Excuse me. It's after 11, but it's not yet at 12, so our hour is 11. The minutes are pointing at the 1, which in the hour point of view, sorry, in the hours it's 1, in the minutes it's 5. And that's AM because it's the morning. Next one, we're after 7, almost at 8. If you were not sure if that was before 8 or after 8, you could look at the minutes. So the minutes is showing that we're nearly at the next hour, which means we'd have to be before 8. So it's 7 something. It's before 8. It's after 7, before 8. And 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50, 7:50 PM. If you don't understand what I'm doing when I'm counting in 5s on the outside, I strongly advise that before you do the rest of this lesson, you go back and watch the previous lesson. Looking at number 6, we're after 3, but we haven't reached 4, so it's 3 something. The minutes is at 5, 10, 15, 20, so it's 3:20 in the morning, it's AM. Looking at 7, it's after 10, or it's at 10, it's 10 something. It's pointing at the top, which is 0, so it's 10:00, and that's PM, which is in the afternoon. It's actually in the evening, but it's after the middle of the day, which is called noon, so it's after noon. If I'd written it as 2 words, it would be correct. Let me just adjust this slightly so that we're in the right place, and you can see the rest. Okay, looking at number 8, we're after 7, not at 8, so it's 7 something. Minutes, 5, 10, 15. Morning, AM. Number 9, we're pointing at the 12, so we're in the 12th hour. Minutes is pointing at the, now I made a mistake. I'm sure some of you would have made as well. Rushing, Mr. Chovis. Okay, so I noticed that my minutes hand is just before the hour, which means that actually my hours hand is in this hour here between 11 and 12. So I need to start with an 11. And the minutes, you can count all the way around. You'll get to 55. I'm going to be a bit sneaky, maybe giving you a hint for tomorrow. Getting all the way around would have got to 60. 5 less than 60 is 55. So it's 11:55 PM. It's actually 5 minutes to midnight in the evening. So the last couple, I wrote it's dark, it's light, it's dark, and that was to test. We did a couple at the end of the lesson, so it shouldn't have thrown you. After 5, but not at 6, it's 5 something. Now this one doesn't point exactly, so that's 5, 10, let's say that's 12, so 12, so 5, 10, 11, 12, so it's 5:12, it's dark. At 12 minutes past 5, it's dark. Well, if it's the afternoon and it's 12 minutes past 5, that would be light. So this must be the morning before the sun has risen. So then it's AM. There are parts of the world where the sun has risen by 5 past 12 in the morning. In fact, in midsummer for us, sometimes it's light by then. But there are very few times in South Africa when you've got dark by 5:12. Number 11, we're in the second hour, so it starts with 2. Our minutes is 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40. We're not quite at 45, so we're 1 in front of 45, which is 44. It's light. 2:44. If it was 2:44 in the morning, the sun would definitely not be up. Well, at least not in South Africa. I have lived in a place where the sun was up at that time. Not nice. Okay, sorry, sidetracked. So 2:44 and it's light. That would have to be the afternoon. That's PM. we're in the 12th hour here. Minutes pointing, that's 30, 31, 32. So 32 and 12:32 and it's dark. Well, it definitely can't be middle of the day, which would make it PM. That's like lunchtime kind of. So it would have to be just after midnight, which makes it AM. Okay, I hope you got those right. If not, don't stress, it just takes practice. Right, so digital to analog, the other way from what we did in the last lesson. So now I'm going to ignore AM and PM, and the reason I'm going to do that is because they look the same. So we've got 9:25 AM and 9:25 PM will be represented the same on this clock. So your minute hand will point to the 25, where the 5 is, but remember the outside numbers. And your hour hand will be pointing somewhere here, just after 9. All right, so that doesn't matter whether it's AM or PM, we will be doing the same thing. All right, that was a mistake. We're not done with the lesson. We're going to do some work now. All right, here we go. I've put those 2 times here so that we can put them on the clock. Right, again, I'm going to use the same colors just for uniformity. When it comes to, I've put the AM and PM in there just because I don't want to write the time without it, because then I might be writing the time wrong and teaching you wrong. But yeah, what I want to just show you is that, sorry, I'm actually just looking at the numbers. The AM and the PM, we know it's morning or afternoon, but it's not going to make a difference to how it looks on the clock. Right, so we're going to start always with the minutes. There's a reason for that. That's why, yeah. So let's start with that. So 25, it's going to point over here. I hope that you remember that the numbers on the clock are the hour numbers, and the numbers that we don't always write or don't always have on our clock are the minute numbers. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. I'm not going to go all the way around, but they are there. So you notice that where the hour numbers are, the minutes are on the 5 times table. So at 1, it's 5 minutes. At 2, it's 10 minutes. At 3, it's 15. So 20, 25. And that's what we were looking for. All right. Now, the reason why I did my hours hand first is because, well, if I look at here, it's going to be in the 9th hour, which means it's somewhere between 9 and 10. But I don't want it to point at 9 because it's not 9 o'clock, which is the time it would point at 9. So when I look at my minute hand, I notice that my minutes are, they've gone all the way around there. If they got to there, that would be halfway. And then my hour hand would be pointing exactly at the halfway. All right, so it's just a little bit before the halfway mark of the hour. Remember, when your teacher marks this, there'll be room for error. So I'm going to draw it so that it's just ahead of halfway, roughly like that. There we go. That is 9:25 AM. And in fact, that is also 9:25 PM. Let's look at another time on the same clock. We will look at 11:39 AM. So again, I'm going to just go a little bit further with my minutes. I'm not going to do all of the ones in between. You can count them individually if you get there. All right, so 0 is in front of 1. Okay, so I'm looking for 39. Well, I can see that 40 is over here. So 39 is going to be this one here. So my minute hand is going to be pointing like that to the 39. And now I've got to put my hour hand. My hour hand is in the 11th hour. So it's somewhere between there and there. If my minute hand had been pointing down here, then my hour hand would be in the middle. So it's after the middle of the hour. And I'm just going to roughly put it to be after the middle of the hour. I probably look like I've got a little bit close to the 12, but that's fine. It doesn't matter. There's room for error. So you would get the mark if you were in my class, and I'm pretty strict about marking these sorts of things. Let's quickly have a look at the next 2 before we move on. So 45. Well, there's 45 there. Looking at my hour, it's in this hour here between the 12 and the 1, so it's after 12, but it hasn't reached 1. We've gone most of the way around the clock, So we only have that far to go. So we're nearing the 1. All right, so my hour hand will be quite close towards the 1. In fact, it'll be at about 3/4 of the way. And the last one I've got written here, 15. So the minutes is pointing to 15. The hours is somewhere in there. It's only gone that far around the clock. Still got that far to go. So I would say it's closer to the 1. There we go. So that is 1:15. Oh, now I'm getting into tomorrow's lesson, how we say it. That is 1:15 if you wrote that in digital time. Okay, I'm going to ask you guys to draw some clocks in your homework today, in your worksheet. And the reason for that is so that you can put the time on it. I will have the clocks on the worksheet, but perhaps you don't have a printer and you might need to draw the clocks in order you might need to draw the clocks in to be able to do it. So I'd just like to quickly show you how I go about drawing a clock. So first up, you need something round. You might use a cup. Make sure it's empty. Or you might use an empty toilet roll. That's quite a nice one. Or maybe you've got a Pritt stick and you can draw around. So what I normally do, and let me just tilt so you can see, is I put the round thing on there. And then I trace around the outside. This is not ideal because I'm drawing on a tablet. But there we go. So now you can see there's a rough circle. It's okay if it's not perfect. No one's asking you to be an artist. Okay, so I'm going to start with 12 at the top. So I literally just make a little mark at the top and I make the 12. Directly opposite, I make another mark and I make the 6. Now I look for halfway between on the right, and I say that's 3, and halfway between on the left, or opposite the 3, is 9. Now comes the slightly trickier bits. I need to break each of these pieces, like that piece, I need to break up into 3, so I can fit the other 2 numbers in between. So I did say break it into 3 pieces so that we get another 2 numbers. So that would be 1 and 2. That's what I mean. So it's 3 pieces, but it's 2 numbers. And here's how I do it. I take my pen. You can't really see. I was putting my pen there. So I put my pen on the line and I see where am I going. And then with my eyes, I'm judging to see whether this will give me the same size pieces when I cut it in half. It's a little bit of a difficult way of saying it, but there we go. All right, so there we go. 1 and 2, 4 and 5, 7 and 8, 10 and 11. And if you are not perfect, that's all right. It doesn't need to be perfect. We're just practicing putting the time on a clock. So if you have to draw it for your homework, that's how we do it. Right, I'm going to just pause quickly so that I can put the times up that we're going to practice with. Okay, we've got 6 times there. We've got 6 clocks. Let's see what we can do. Right, so first up, just a reminder that when we're doing this, I always start with the minutes. You can actually do it which way you like, but I would recommend that starting with the minutes is the easiest way. So my minutes is 00 in number 1, and 00 was the top of the clock. All right, so it was 12 when it was the hours, but when it was the minutes, it's 00, or just 0, which is the same thing. 3, our hand is pointing at the 3. This is included in the 3rd hour, but we just at the 3, so you don't need to worry about that so much. Looking at the second one, minutes first, pointing at the 45. 5, 10, or 0, 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45. So my minutes is pointing there. My hour, I am in the 6th hour, somewhere between there and there, but my clock has already gone all of this way and only has this much to go. So in fact, that's 1/4 of the circle, and it's gone 3/4 of the circle. So it's gone 3/4 of the way after 6 towards 7, which means that it'll be pointing somewhere around about there. So that is 6:45. Having a look at the next one, 55. 0, 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50, 55. So where the 11 is. So my minutes are pointing there. My hour is in the 9th hour, so that's anywhere there. Now you'll notice that the minute hand has almost gone all the way around, which means that it's almost 10 o'clock. So our hour hand is going to be pointing, our hour hand, English. Our hour hand is pointing just before the 10. Let's have a look at question number 4. 12 minutes. I'm not mentioning the AM and PM because, like I said before, it's going to look the same whichever way around it is. I've put it on the list because I want to get all of you into the habit of making sure you write it. When we're doing 12-hour time, we must have an AM and a PM, otherwise we're being wrong. We're being mathematically wrong. Okay, 12. So 0, 5, 10. Then I'm going to the small ones, 11, 12. My minutes hand is pointing there. My hours hand is in the second hour. So the second hour is anywhere between there and 3. And in fact, it's just after, because it's only gone a little bit after. So in fact, our hour hand will be pretty much underneath our minute hand. So it's close to the 2. Looking at question number 5. It's 25 minutes per hour. So 0, 5, 10, 15, 20, 25. It's pointing to where the hour hand is a 5. And 11. So it's in the 11th hour. So all the way up to 12. It's almost at the halfway point. So we're going to put it somewhere around about the halfway mark. There we go. 11:25. Last one. 31. 0, 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30. So one little space after 30. So the minute hand is going to be pointing there. The hour hand is in the 4th hour, which is all the way between 4 and 5. And it's round about the halfway mark. So we put it round about the halfway mark. There is our time for 4:31 p.m. Okay. I think that's fairly straightforward, but you'll be able to manage that in the practice. Remember that if you have to draw it, that's fine. You can use a toilet roll, use anything around to make a circle. If you've got a compass, you can use a compass, but I haven't showed you how to use a compass. I hope your teachers showed you how to use a compass, but maybe not if you're only in grade 4. Right, that's what we have to do today. So tomorrow, we're going to have a look at how we say the time, and after that, we're going to look at 12-hour time and 24-hour time and changing between the two of them. That's actually quite easy. It's really just how we say the time that's the problem one. And hopefully after you've had a lesson with me, it won't be a problem anymore. That is all the time we have today, grade 4s. I hope that you're able to now take your digital time and put it onto an analog clock. I hope that you now know which is digital and which is analog. So I hope that's straightforward enough for you now. I look forward to seeing you again soon. A reminder that if you'd like to email me, my name is Mr. T or Mr. Travis. It's grade4@worksheetcloud.com. I'd love to hear from you. And to the worksheet above, make sure you've got this aspect of time, and I will see you again in the near future. Have a great day, grade 4s. Goodbye.